The poetical Stela of Merneptah, or the Israel Stela. This audio presentation is read and voiced by Shakim Ra. It is provided to the public by Amenhotep University. The Stela had belonged to Amenhotep III, who had inscribed it recto with an account of his building activities. It was appropriated by Merneptah, who placed it in his mortuary temple and had the verso inscribed with a poetic account of his victory over the Libyans, who had invaded Kemet in the 5th year of his reign. A duplicate copy of this text was written on a stela erected in the temple of Karnak. Furthermore, a long prose account of the Libyan war, not translated in this video, was inscribed on the inside of the eastern wall that connects the central part of the Karnak temple with Pylon 7. As regards literary composition, the situation is parallel to that of the Kadesh battle inscriptions of Ramesses II. Once again, we have two major accounts covering the same campaign. A prose report of a more or less factual nature and a poetic version abounding in hyperbole. But here the poetic version is much shorter than the prose text. Also, as in the case of the Kadesh battle poem, Merneptah's victory poem contains narration and is thus a second example of epic poetry in New Kingdom literature. Here too the use of parallelism is attenuated, yet the stylistic devices that create roughly symmetrical sentences are sufficiently strong to serve as guideposts for the metrical reading of the text. Only in a few divisions does the metrical division appear uncertain. The text begins with a royal titulary and a formal encomium, strictly composed in 8 symmetrical distichs. Then comes the narrative poem whose freer form makes for liveliness and variety. It begins with a graphic description of the Libyan defeat, the rout of the troops, the flight of the chief, and the desolation at home. Next is a court session of the gods at Heliopolis, in which Merneptah is declared victor and presented with the sword of victory. Then follows a vivid and joyful description of the return of peace, Hetep. The final portion of the text is a 12-line poem of praise, which complements the initial encomium, where in the beginning the king had been lauded as the victor who freed Kemet from the Libyan menace. The concluding poem extols him as victor over all of Kemet's neighbors, especially the peoples of Palestine and Syria. At the present time, scholars are wary of seeking historically accurate information in such triumphal poetry. Hence, one would hesitate to treat the poem as firm evidence for an Asiatic campaign of Merneptah. But the poem has a special significance owing to its mentioning Israel among the conquered peoples and places. For this is the only occurrence of the name of Israel in Egyptian text. Year 5, 3rd day, month of summer, day 3, under the majesty of Horus, mighty bull, rejoicing in Ma'at, the king of Upper and Lower Kemet, Banera Meramen, the son of Ra, Merneptah, the one who is content with Ma'at, magnified by the power, exalted by the strength of Heru, strong bull, who smites the 9 bowls, whose name is given to eternity forever. Recital of his victories in all lands, to let all lands together know, to let the glory of his deeds be seen, the king of Upper and Lower Kemet, Merneptah, the son of Merneptah, the one who is content with Ma'at, the bull, lord of strength, who slays his foes, splendid on the field of valor when his attack is made. Shu, who dispelled the cloud that was over Egypt, letting Egypt see the rays of the sun disk, who removed the mountain of copper from the people's neck, that he might give breath to the imprisoned folk, who let Hetkapatah exult over its foes, letting Jenin triumph over his opponents, opener of the gates of Memphis that were barred, who allowed the temples to receive their foods, the king of Upper and Lower Kemet, Merneptah, the son of Merneptah, content with Ma'at, the sole one who steadied the hearts of hundreds of thousands. Breath entered their nostrils at the sight of him, who destroyed the land of Kemet in his lifetime, who cast abiding terror in the heart of the Meshwesh. He turned back the Libyans who trod Kemet. Great is dread of Kemet in their hearts. Their leading troops were left behind. Their legs made no stand except to flee. Their archers abandoned their bows. The hearts of their runners grew weak as they sped. They loosened their water skins and cast them down. Their packs were untied, thrown away. The vile chief, the Libyan foe, fled in the deep of night alone. No plume on his head, his feet unshod. His wives were carried off from his presence. His food supplies were snatched away. He had no drinking water to sustain him. The gaze of his brothers was fierce to slay him. His officers fought among each other. Their tents were fired, burnt to ashes. All his goods were foods for the troops. When he reached his country, he was in mourning. Those left in his land were loath to receive him. A chief, ill-fated, evil plume. All said of him, those of his town, he is in the power of the gods, the lords of Memphis. Mercy is the abomination of Memphis. The Lord of Egypt has made his name accursed. So is son after son of his kin forever. Merneptah will be after his children. Merneptah, content with Ma'at, is given him as fate. He has become a proverbial saying for Libya. Generation says to generation of his victories. It was never done to us since the time of Ra. So says every old man speaking to his son. Woe to Libyans! They have ceased to live in the good manner of roaming the field. In a single day their stride was halted. In a single year were the Jehenu burned. Seth turned his back upon their chief. By his word their villages were ruined. There's no work of carrying loads these days. Hiding is useful. It's safe in the cave. The great Lord of Kemet, might and strength are his, who will combat, knowing how he strides. A witless fool is he who takes him on. He knows no tomorrow who attacks his border. As for Egypt, since the gods, they say, she is the only daughter of Pharaoh. His son is he who's on the throne of Shu. None who attacks her people will succeed. The eye of every god is after her despoiler. It will make an end of all its foes. So say they who gaze toward their stars and know all their spells by looking to the winds. A great wonder has occurred for Egypt. Her attacker was placed captive in her hand. Through the counsels of the godly king, who prevailed against his foes before Pharaoh, Mercy, who stealthily did evil to all the gods who are in Memphis, he was contended within own. The Ennead found him guilty of his crime, said the Lord of all. Give the sword to my son, the right-hearted, kind, gracious Merneptah, who cared for Memphis, who avenged On, who opened the quarters that were barred. He has freed the many shut up in all districts. He has given the offerings to the temples. He has let incense be brought to the gods. He has let the nobles retain their possessions. He has let the humble frequent their towns. Then spoke the lords of On in behalf of their son Merneptah, content with Ma'at, grant him a life like that of Ra. To avenge those injured by any land, Kemet has been assigned to him as a portion. He owns it forever to protect its people. Lo, when one dwells in the time of the mighty, the breath of life comes readily. The brave bestows wealth on the just. The cheat cannot retain his plunder. What a man has of ill-gotten wealth falls to others, not his children. This too shall be said. Mercy to the vile foe, the Libyan foe, who had come to attack the walls of Tatanin, whose lord had made his son arise in his place, the king of Upper and Lower Kemet, Banera Meramin, son of Ra, Merneptah, content with Ma'at. Then said Ptah concerning the vile Libyan foe, his crimes are all gathered upon his head. Give him into the hand of Merneptah, content with Ma'at. He shall make him spew what he gorged like a crocodile. Lo, the swift will catch the swift. The Lord who knows his strength will snare him. It is Amen who curbs him in his hand. He will deliver him to his Ka in southern On. The king of Upper and Lower Kemet, Banera Meramin, son of Ra, Merneptah, content with Ma'at. Great joy has now arisen in Kemet. Shouts go up from Kemet's towns. They relate the Libyan victories of Merneptah, content with Ma'at. How beloved is he, the victorious ruler! How exalted is he, the king among the gods! How splendid is he, the Lord of command! Oh, how sweet it is to sit in Babel. One walks free striding on the road, for there is no fear in the people's hearts. Fortresses are left to themselves. Walls are open for the messenger's use. Bastion ramparts are becalmed. Sunlight only wakes the watchmen. Magi are stretched out asleep. Na'u and Tekten are in the fields they love. The cattle of the field are left to roam. No herdsmen cross the river's flood. There's no calling out at night. Wait, I come, in a stranger's voice. Going and coming with song. People don't lament and mourn. Towns are settled once again. He who tends its crop will eat it. Ra has turned around to Kemet. The sun is ordained as her protector. The king of Upper and Lower Kemet, Egypt, Banera Meramin, son of Ra, Merneptah, content with Ma'at. The princes are prostrate, saying, Shalom, 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 shalom. Not one of the 9 bowls lifts his head. Jehenu is vanquished. Kati is at peace. Canaan is captive with all woe. Ashkelon is conquered. Geser seized. Yanoam made existent. Israel is wasted, bare of seed. Kahor is become a window for Kemet. All who roam have been subdued by the king of Upper and Lower Kemet, Banera Meramin, given life like Ra every day